So let's go through some of the numbers that are coming in now. This is about the time we start to see some election results. Let's start with the race for House District 1, Susan Del Bene and Vincent Cavalieri. We'll pull up the numbers as we go through here. No surprise here, the incumbent Susan Del Bene with a strong lead. Now, if you look in the top right-hand corner, you'll see it says reporting 21%. That's 21% of the vote estimated to be tallied so far, but still a long way to go there. All right, moving on now to the next district.
All right, taking a look here at House District 2, Rick Larson and Dan Matthews. And we can see here Rick Larson, 62%, Dan Matthews with 38% of the vote. And we've also got another map that we want to look at as well, another full screen here of, let's see, House District 3, Marie Gluesenkamp and Joe Kent. And Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez, a newcomer with 54%, and Joe Kent at 46%.
I'm just going to ask our analysts to come in here and talk about this real briefly, because this is one of those campaigns that's really had strong feelings. Cathy, what's your reaction to this vote tonight?
Well, it depends on the numbers. I'm looking at them, and it says here 52% reporting. If that means that of the votes that have come in, which is about 50% of the vote, that if half of them are reporting, and here we're looking at exactly what they are, the fact is that that's amazing that Perez is actually showing any kind of a lead with half of the votes in.
We're missing a couple of key counties here. Not all counties have gotten to their drop yet at 8:15. After 8:15, that number's going to change.
All right, but still a strong showing for a candidate who has no political experience, runs a garage.
No political experience, runs a garage, and has a couple $1 million that was put in by outside interests to make sure that people knew a little bit about her and even more about Mr. Kent.
Okay, we'll see what happens.
And actually in that, what happened is the money is a differential in this race that actually made her substantially more competitive than most of us would thought.
What does that tell you, though? What is the message from the voters thus far that we're seeing here in these numbers?
Democrats got their act together and organized, and to be able to get this together, and that, you know, Kent, up until the end, had to drag in other national leaders, Kevin McCarthy and others, that necessarily weren't very close to him, just to be able to be competitive. They weren't paying attention to this guy. They didn't potentially like him. But the fact is, this is a seat he should be taking.
All right, well, we saw Governor Inslee villainize him quite a bit in some of his speeches, so the name very familiar to people. Let's move on to an election very familiar to many of the people in our area, and that's Dr. Kim Schreier and Matt Larkin. This is the race for House District 8. Kim Schreier wanting to go back to D.C., and right now she has 54% of the vote, with 48% of the vote tallied so far. So again, I'll ask our experts here, will Matt Larkin be able to make up this kind of a difference right now?
Well, I think, again, we haven't seen all counties come in, but he's got to be much stronger on election night, much closer, I think, than 8 points to have some comfort going into the counts in the days ahead.
Republicans, though, voting late. We've seen ballots packed tonight as people went to go drop off, or ballot boxes drop off. Are you thinking, though, that there will be a big push there and it will be much closer before it's over?
I do. I mean, as the state party chair said in one of the earlier segments, Republicans have been hanging on to their ballots, some out of worry that if they turned them in too soon, that might be a problem. Others just because they didn't know who they were going to vote for. So allegedly that was going on. If it is, that will be good for Republicans. They'll pick up after Election Day. But that also means that a couple of anxious days waiting for those ballots to come in.
Cathy,
I say that's crap. In the real world, I can tell you right now that, if she is up by more than 6, I have to say, when the rest of this comes in, there's no other districts to report in here. And so we're looking at exactly somewhere in the neighborhood of a 50% King County response. And if she's got this early lead, I'd say I wouldn't open the champagne, but I'd at least put it on the ice.
Well, I mean, there was a lot of reaction to that race, but maybe none as important as the race for Senate with Patty Murray and Tiffany Smiley. Let's look at the numbers as they've come in so far and really analyze those. So, drum roll, Patty Murray, 58% with 46% of the vote tallied so far. I will lean to the Democratic strategist here and let you have the first word, or ask you to have the first word.
Well, you know, we had a lot of dress rehearsals where we talked about what it would look like if Patty started out at 48 to 42, and I'm going, oh my God, I don't know if I can pass that red face test and say, oh yeah, that's going to be the first response. Seeing it tonight, I have to say, I'm cautiously optimistic. I have to say that Washington State has been very good to Democrats, regardless of what the rest of the country is doing. And so I'm seeing in both the Kim Schreier and the Patty Murray campaign, I'm looking at these and I'm going, might not be crying in a beer kind of night after all.
You crying in your beer?
Oh, not at all, because as I look at the map, the statewide map is still missing Snohomish, Pierce, Clark, Spokane, Walla Walla, Yakima, some counties that actually will provide Republican votes to these columns. So I want to see more of the statewide map come in, and then we'll look at it. The fact is, we're still only going to see about half the vote tonight, because it's just what was in hand yesterday is what is being counted right now, and it's what came in today and what will undoubtedly come in tomorrow, Thursday, that will decide these closer races.
And are these numbers so far a surprise to you?
Not that much, because none of them are outside of 10%, with the exception of the U.S. Senate race. And again, because of the key counties that are missing there, that would be surprising if it's at that extent.
We had the weather yesterday. We had storms. We had cold weather today. Voter turnout. Are we going to have good voter turnout compared to past midterm elections?
You know, there will be some people who had not made voting plans on how they were going to get their ballot out. That I talked to some folks in Spokane. Snow on the ground in Spokane this morning. So if you hadn't made your plan to get out there, it's just like it's cold and snowy and, well, oh well. Didn't happen. So yeah, there will be some storm-related damage. I mean, where I've got a place up on Tai Beach, up on Camano Island, we don't have power, and haven't had power since Friday night.
Well, I would just say, for the record, I said we were going to have a 76% turnout, and my wonderful colleague said, ha, 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 ha. The fact is, I think we get to 76% already. 4 of my favorite counties are already at 76%, and King County is one.
And what do you think, despite the weather and all those challenges, what issues, what's really driving people out to vote?
You know what? I hate to say it, what was my biggest problem is that there was too much information coming from back east that was poisoning my beautiful democratic waters up here. And the fact is, people would see what was going on in all of these different districts, and we were sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, look at all these guys that are losing back east. And now tonight, they're not all losing. They're actually looking okay. So I would say the big deal tonight is Washington voters once again prove they're going to vote for who they want to vote for. To hell what's going on back east. Oops.
Well, let's cut through some of the other races here and give you a look. For House District 4, Dan Newhouse and Doug White. Dan Newhouse right now with a comfortable lead, 70% of the vote, 44% of the vote tallied so far. All
right, and going to House District 5 now, pulling up that full screen, and Cathy McMorris Rogers with 58%, Natasha Hill sitting at 42% here. And Cathy McMorris Rogers is obviously well known, and so these numbers are not a surprise to you, right?
Not at all.
All right, in House District 8, Derek Kilmer and Elizabeth Kreiselmeyer, and Derek Kilmer with a comfortable lead as well there, 62%, and just about 62% of the vote tallied so far.
All right, House District 7, Pramila Jayapal and Cliff Moon. Pramila Jayapal with 85%. And Cliff Moon sitting at 15% tonight.
Yeah, I don't think there's any big surprises there anyway. For House District 9, this one got pretty contentious, I'll tell you. We saw some of the debates between Adam Smith and Doug Basler. Doug Basler really taking Adam Smith to task, but at least right now, we see Adam Smith with 71% of the vote. If Basler doesn't end up doing well, Randy, why did he not succeed in his campaign, do you think?
Well, one, it's an extremely Democratic district. Two, Adam Smith is, to coin an old phrase, a happy warrior. He knows his stuff. We were fortunate enough, Cathy and I, to have him come speak to our class at the University of Washington and address the students. He's as comfortable with the student audience as he was earlier that morning, because it was the day that Russia invaded Ukraine, as he had been on CNN talking. So I think he has the ability to connect with a wide variety of people in a very Democratic district.